Hi, everyone. My name is Mariah Miller, and I'm a human design coach and trainer. And welcome to this human design mini. This is, I have to be honest, a friend of mine who I know a little bit more than the usual questions that I answer. Usually, I get just questions and I get a chart, and it's just, okay, go from there. In this case, I actually know the person. I know a little bit more about the situation. She's a dear friend of mine. So I just thought that this would be a really good idea to give some human design insight on the question at hand, which she actually did ask me to take a look at her chart. So I do have her permission in this. So here's the situation. I'm not going to go into much detail, but there's a recurring pattern. And she asked, why does this keep happening to me? So I thought, what a good opportunity to take a look at the chart and see what's really going on. So here you go. Here is Lori, and this is Lori's chart. So you get an idea with how much there is defined or colored in and how much is undefined. So when we take a look at the chart, the undefined components in a chart, this is where your environment comes in. Okay, this is where you get to learn in this lifetime. It's where you get to play, you get to become wise, and you get to experience different flavors of things. And that's basically how you start learning, like, oh, when I'm around this person, this is how it feels. When I'm around that person, that is all of a sudden a very different flavor. And how do I like myself in those situations? So this is how we learn about ourselves, how we learn about our environment. The defined centers, the colored in centers, that is how we are. This is what we get to play with as that part of us that's always going at the same time, 24/7, always active. So this is the part of you that you rely on as, this is me. This is how I know myself to be. Okay. So we can see that in Lori's situation, there is a lot that is undefined versus what is defined. 6 centers is where the universe comes in place, and 3 centers where she gets to be expressing herself. Okay. So when you find yourself in recurring patterns, there's a few things that I tend to look at. So first of all, what are those undefined to defined centers? Because those undefined centers, we tend to attract that. We tend to attract those opportunities, again, to learn from. And over time, we tend to create a particular way of behaving around those areas. So there might be a particular conditioned response that may have happened. All right. One thing that I notice in Lori's chart is if we take a look at her sun and earth, they are both in undefined centers. Okay. And I've said this before, and I'm sure I will say this again whenever I see this. This is someone who doesn't have consistent access to a big part of who she is. All right. So there's a big part in of Lori that she doesn't always get to show unless there are other people around her or a particular transit that wakes that part up. So in this case, the depth that you get to share, Lori, is not always available to people. And sometimes it can make you feel like you're just sitting in this cave and nobody can really see you. On top of that, you have the fifth line in your profile, which is a 5-1 profile. And the 5 is a very projective field. So people will project things onto you that may not be true, kind of like a projector when people project things onto projectors and may not necessarily see the real person behind the facade. That kind of happens with you too. There is this possibility that people will see you in different ways, but it's not really you. So, what I want to say about what you are or the who that you are, when we are looking at that center of the self, we see it's beautifully defined. In other words, you have a real identity in this lifetime. You have a real way of showing up that is correct for you, that is really showing the world, this is who I am, and this is the kind of work I'm supposed to do. This is the kind of relationship I'm supposed to attract. This is the place that I'm supposed to live. That's what identity guides us to. You have this 25th gate, which I think is so beautiful. It's all about being really innocent. So there's this real sense of innocence that comes across when people meet you. There's this innocence in how you behave towards people. Interestingly, there's this other part of you that is the 34th gate, and it's unconscious. You see, it's on the red side over here. When it's unconscious, you may not be aware in how it operates. And this 34th gate, when I see that in women, I always cheer. And at the same time, it is also a place where you can find a lot of restriction. Okay. The 34th gate is around power. And as we know in our society, women are finally being invited to step into their power, but it's not an easy road. It's a road that comes with, you can't say that, you can't do that, you can't, you cannot show your power too much. So having the 34th gate, you may not be aware in how you express your power as a woman stepping into society or stepping out into society, and how people respond to that. So there can already be a little bit of a resistance. The other part is on the other side over here when we have that undefined heart center. The heart center has everything to do with determination and the ability to make a promise and keep it, to really keep going on something that you say you're going to do, because you have that consistency and that drive to keep you going. The heart is all about drive. It's not about love. That's the self-center in human design. It's the drive to be able to make things happen. When you have it undefined with the 21st gate, the 21st gate is the gate of control. And having it undefined means that it only becomes active when someone is activating it for you, or there's a transit, right? So in this case, if there's not a transit and someone is activating that in you, there can become a little bit of a power struggle. Now, how do you step out of that power struggle? Going back to what your gut response says yes to, because you're not here to prove a thing. You're not here to prove anything to anybody. So it's going back to that gut response that you have. You have a very strong gut response. And then waiting for your emotional wave to calm down. Go through the ups and the downs. Ask the questions that you need to get that depth, to get that understanding, so that you can make a decision that's really right for you. When you don't have that stomach experience, that anxiety or that unsettledness in your stomach, it means the answer is not there yet. Once you get to a sense of clarity, a sense of I feel clean, that is the place to be able to make that decision around. Okay, so that is your authority. One thing that might pull you out of that is that you have this 29th gate. The 29th gate through the 46 is a beautiful, beautiful channel. This channel is about succeeding where others fail. It's a channel of discovery. It can also be failing where others succeed. So it really depends on how do you step into something. It asks you to really have that gut response, because the 29th gate has a tendency to say yes. We call it the yes gate. So it has a tendency to say yes to things too quickly. And again, if you're not wading through your emotional wave, you may say yes to things that are really not right for you. And the thing is that once you say yes to it, there goes your ride. I mean, you're on it. You're on it until you get to the end of it. So you want to make sure you say yes to the right things for you. Really go back to that gut response, that clarity, and watch for the signs. If you're getting that resistance from other people around you, that power struggle that maybe happens, like, where is this coming from? Why does this keep happening? It's because there is something in the heart center that is requiring some, or it's asking for a resistance that is not yours to give. And again, with that 21st gate, how much control can you actually have over others or your surroundings? Very little, right? So it's, you can control your own attitude, you can control your own behavior, and for the rest is to leaving it up. Yeah. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some insights. And as always, keep sending in those questions. I will be doing another live call soon and hope to see you there. Take care.